As a fan of almost every adventure game ever made, I was really looking forward to Aspyr Media's Torn. The trailers made the game look like Myst, or more accurately, the PSVR version of Abduction that we all wanted but never actually got, despite claims to the contrary. It's set in a fantastical, imaginative world with the promise of an engaging story, but now that I've seen the game through from beginning to end twice, I can't shake the feeling that I'm simply not having any fun. Torn should have been a game that I loved. Instead, it's a game that I often liked, but more often than not, mostly tolerated.
Rena used to love the gramophone.
When you first enter Torn's beautiful world, it's easy to get caught up in its lush environments. Despite their low-resolution shimmer, they sport a ton of detail, incredible natural geometry, and impeccable steampunk art design. Heck, you can even interact with cobwebs and curtains. But best of all, they're adorned with hundreds of items to pick up and throw, which in any VR game is always way more fun than it should be. You're even given a little zero-gravity gadget, allowing you to wreak havoc through every room of Torn's mysterious mansion and solve its puzzles. See, shining your flashlight will reveal hidden circuit boards in the walls, floors, and ceilings, and some of those circuits are missing connecting pieces that can be completed, strangely, with items around the room branded with the correct markings. But it's the equivalent of putting a square block through a square hole. It never evolves, gets tougher, or becomes even remotely interesting. Even worse, you're forced to do this in each room 3 times, over and over and over, room after room after room. And since they don't require any actual thought, these puzzles never present any kind of challenge, and ultimately just feel like a whole lot of busy work.
That's right. Watch the cables there. I've tripped over them more than once. You wouldn't want to go down face.
That's not to say there's nothing redeeming here, because trust me, for the first hour or two of Torn, I was utterly fascinated with every new unlocked room and every morsel of story. But it's around that 3-hour mark where Torn's exquisite facade starts to fade, and it becomes painfully obvious that the moment-to-moment gameplay just isn't that appealing. I loved exploring this mansion and playing with my little zero-gravity gun, but after a while of getting stuck in environments, painfully slow movement speeds, the mandatory click-turning, awkward control scheme, and the dialogue of the ever-dislikable protagonist just starts getting old. And I really hate saying this, eventually the story just falls apart completely. The last 90 minutes could have been an epic resolution to an incredible mystery, but instead culminates in the most disappointing final chapter of any game in recent memory. And when it's all infused so perfectly with beautiful graphics, a really satisfying physics engine, and a AAA soundtrack, the real mystery is how the gameplay and story were allowed to so obviously fall through the cracks.
What happened to this place?
Torn puts off such a great first impression that even I'm surprised by how negative this review sounds. But the longer I played, the more I took issue with almost every aspect of the game, from the basics like controls and graphics to the less opaque, like the puzzles and narrative. If I'd stopped playing 1 or 2 hours in, I might say this was a must-have game, one of the best for PlayStation VR. But Torn is ultimately all style and no substance. So if you're looking for a cool mansion to explore and throw items around in, you found it. But if you're looking for PlayStation VR's next great adventure, this definitely isn't it.
Whoa, that's weird. Uh-oh. Oh my god, it's an elevator! Help! Great, now I've done it. Hello? Hello? Hello, hello, hello? You're here now, Patterson. Start walking. Am I gonna let a little piece of tape get in my way? No, I'm not.